Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. I'm Tommy. This is Ryan. I'm conservative. He's liberal, and we like to talk about news events that are going on recently, that have recently happened, and try to find common ground. It's a more civilized podcast. We don't bring people on and just beat the crap out of them, or this isn't an echo chamber. This is us trying to find ground that we agree on, and we usually find a lot of ground that we agree on, and for the most part we're more in the same place. And that's why we started this, is because we find that a lot of the new other talking heads and stuff, they're representing a small spectrum of the American public, and we think that there's a lot more in the middle than there is on the fringes. So tonight we're talking about homicide rates in the nation, national homicide rates. And then we're going to talk about RFK Jr., the third party candidate. And we're also going to talk about the Roman Empire just at the end. So we got some good stuff. But first, just a word from our sponsor, Ryan. Any thoughts?
Lux bidets, love them. Okay, here's how enamored I am with bidets, Tom. I have a 3D printer
You're
now.
sitting
We've
on one
talked
right
about
now.
this. I am not currently sitting on one, but um, I have a 3D printer, right? We've talked about this. I found I think it was on Thingiverse, right? So this isn't necessarily an ad for Thingiverse, but I found this printable cap that you screw onto a water bottle that you can flip it upside down and squirt it, right? By squeezing the water bottle, it is effectively a portable
It's
bidet.
like, yeah, like a camping bidet.
Bingo, right? So
That's
you literally,
great.
it fits onto a water bottle, screws right on. It actually has, I'm not necessarily trying to sell this. Lux, I mean, it's still a shout out to Lux, right? Because everybody should get a Lux bidet. But it has like a little hook here so you can like hook it onto your keychain or whatever so you can carry it
Mhm.
with you all the
Oh,
time.
wow. Yeah. So no matter where you are,
You got a
construction
bidet.
site, no problem. Camping, no problem.
We got you covered.
That is
Still
interesting.
a shout out to Lux, but take your bidet everywhere you go. That's the plan.
Take care. Take your bidet. On the go bidet. Love it. Uh,
Indeed.
good. All right. Yeah, you are into it. Um,
Or it's into me.
oh, jeez.
Mm.
Uh,
All right, first
all right.
story.
First
Yeah,
story.
my just so everybody knows, my wife hates that part of the episode more than any other part of the episode. She's like, "Are you going to talk about bidets again?" And I'm like, "Of course we are. We have to, right? We have a sponsor." So first article, and you sent me one, but I think it's just a general topic. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running for president,
Yeah.
and a recent NBC poll suggests that he might be polling more of Trump's voters than Biden's voters, though previous polls have suggested the opposite. It's a bit of a wash. Not entirely clear which way it's going to go, but he's definitely in the race, and the numbers that they showed suggest that he's polling at about 13%, which I
You're
didn't
right.
quite realize.
Yeah.
So what did you
He's
want to talk about?
significant.
Yeah, he's
Well,
significant.
so two things. I mean, I wanted to think what you thought about him being a spoiler for more for Trump than for Biden, and I also wanted to get your opinion on what you thought of him as candidate. Would you vote for him?
Yeah. Would I vote? So, this is, I hate to be like a single item voter. Okay.
Mhm.
He is anti-vax, and that alone, like, no, he's out. He's done. Right. The anti-vaccination movement has literally resulted in the deaths of thousands of people. I'm not a fan. Right. I think vaccines are perfectly fine. They're safe. Yeah, occasionally people have bad reactions, but that's why we need herd immunity. Everybody else needs to get them. So I'm 100% on the vaccine wagon. I was literally realizing today that if it wasn't for modern technology, I would be dead. I've had a number of just minor medical issues that if they hadn't been caught when they were, they would have turned south, right? And I would have had major issues. So I don't understand the anti-vax stuff. He seems like a bit of a conspiracy theorist. if I'm missing other platform things, and maybe I should just be a single item voter on this one, do let me know. But that, like, just the initial response of would I vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., it's just a hard no because the guy is not in touch with reality and denies reality. So not a big fan of that. Not that every politician actually is in touch with reality, but certainly he's not. And then we can talk about the other, or is there something else you want to point out about RFK that I should like actually be aware of? Like, is he in alignment with me on everything else, and it's just the anti-vax
Well,
stuff that I'm like, "Ugh."
here's my take on him. Um, First off, he seems a lot more of a classic liberal than Biden is and a lot of Democrats. He's pro First Amendment and he's anti-war. And he talks about he was talking about his uncle and there was a quote of JFK saying that what he wanted on his tombstone, and he said wanted to say I kept the peace, right? And he's like I kept people out of war. And Democratic Party have traditionally been a party that sort of stayed away from war up until recently. And then yes, but his big thing is he's talking about the First Amendment, and that's a classic liberal, a pillar, right? Of like what liberalism is, and that
Which part of the First Amendment, though? Because there are multiple pieces there. Is it the
just
freedom of religion, or
anti-censorship,
is it the,
right?
oh, it's the freedom of speech piece? Okay. All right.
Yes. And he was calling out Biden the other day in an interview. He was talking about how he's the first president that's ever, worked hand in hand with some of these agencies to censor Americans on these platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, right? Throughout as the election was ramping up. And that no other president has done that before, like actively worked with these agencies and with agencies and worked and just directly communicated to actively censor. And like that's like censorship is a big what's happening in Brazil, crazy, right? Like them trying to censor accounts and shutting down accounts and stuff like that. That's just really, and what's happening in with the free speech stuff, the hate speech stuff in Scotland, right? It's freaky stuff, right? That they're passing, and that it's like hate speech. Okay, well, what's hate speech, right? And it's like we get to decide. And you're like, great. So it's that stuff is incredibly alarming, like incredibly alarming to me. And like to me, those are the things that should be protected at all costs. And so I will, if it's Biden, Trump, and RFK, I'll definitely vote for RFK, right? I will, right?
Really?
Oh, 100%.
So the anti-vax stuff not big enough of an issue for you to rule him
Yeah,
out.
I would have to explore his stance. I don't, I've heard him talk about it and being critical of he was talking about the COVID vaccine. I don't know if his stance is anti-vax, right? I just know that he was critical of the COVID vaccine. So I don't know. I would have to dig into more of that to determine if he's really against it. And the thing is like, and here's what I would say. Even if that was against him, I think there's more pros than there are cons. He'd be like, okay, he's got that thing, but I'm actually probably more. I've heard him speak on a few things, and I really liked what he said, some of the stuff he said. Anyway,
Interesting. Um, okay, so there's fun stuff here to play with. I did just look him up really quick, and he is stridently opposed to vaccines. That's
yeah.
AP Associated Press is like, yeah, he claims he's not anti-vax, but he's totally anti-vax. All right, so I didn't know exactly what was going on with Scotland and hate speech stuff, but um, and hopefully listeners of the show will know that both of us are pretty close to like free speech absolutists, right? We've made
Right.
that point pretty clear that um, I would go so far as to say, like, yeah, people can say almost anything. I don't know that our listeners will necessarily want us to play this game again, but like, I'm interested in knowing where you would consider the line is. So I don't know the exact situation in Scotland, right? I'm actually going to Scotland this summer, so okay, I should maybe look into this, but um, it what kind of speech are they censoring? Is it calls to violence, or is it just I don't like these people? Okay. And I'm trying to get at like where is the line? Because we're certainly
Mhm.
dealing with this, not necessarily in Scotland right now, but with the Gaza Israel conflict on college campuses, right? So Columbia's president
Mhm.
just got called before Congress again. And they're trying to walk this really fine balance of like students get to say things, but then where do you say that cross the line to where this is not okay? So where would you put that line, Tom? Just so we've got a clear sense here.
Well, this is the issue, right? Because no one knows where the line is in Scotland, right? And so, and J.K. Rowling basically she had a that it made a lot of news that she was basically like, if anyone gets arrested for saying something, and she was talking about trans stuff, that a man is a woman, and if a woman says this or about a man or whatever, I will say the exact same thing, and I want to be arrested with them, right? And she's trying to, because nobody knows what this line and what this line is, and they even so the police even looked into her account and said, okay, we're not going to take action, right? And we're like, so it's just this weird free for all, which is that's the most dangerous thing of all, right? When it's nebulous. And it's like now it's subjective to, oh, well, we're gonna prosecute this one, but not this one, right? This is where you get in a weird territory. That's the most dangerous territory, in my opinion, right?
Hmm.
Um,
So what
and
exactly did they do? Did they pass a law saying like hate speech is
yeah,
illegal,
and for the
but they
most
didn't
part, it
define it?
it looks like it's for like protecting Muslims and minorities and things like that. So that's and trans is what it appears
Um,
to be aiming to protect.
okay,
But
and is it, or this is the part that they're trying to figure out? Is it you can't say you disagree with it, right? So like I can't say I don't agree with Islam, right? Or is it I want people to engage in violence against Muslims, right? Like which is it?
right,
Or they didn't define it, and that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
right,
But
I think yeah, and I don't know enough to know exactly did they explicitly say you can't use these words or anything like that. I haven't heard anything like that. But
hmm,
yeah. It passed like
okay.
two weeks ago. It's made quite a few. I'm surprised you haven't heard about that because it has made some
I'm a
headlines.
little. It wasn't in the it wasn't in my two main news sources. Maybe the BBC picked it up, right? But I have been keeping up with Wall Street Journal and the Tampa Bay Times. They didn't bring it up, so I didn't hit it in either of those. Maybe the BBC, and I'm just behind in my news reading over there.
And then what
Um,
about Brazil?
I didn't catch that one either. So what exactly
Okay.
happened in Brazil? They're just
They
closing
well,
down
it's
social media
basically
accounts.
this is probably yes. So they basically went to Twitter and said we want all these accounts shut down, and Twitter's like no, we're not going to. And so their main attorney general or whatever sent this letter and was like, hey, we can't have companies going rogue and all this stuff and doing whatever they want. And so they fined Twitter and Elon's basically giving them the middle finger. And and he's like, well, we could get shut down there. We'll see, right? We don't know. And they even asked for the employees, something, something. They were asking for employees of Twitter that worked in Brazil. And so just weird stuff. Like I guess they've got a pretty they've some guy on the Supreme Court, I guess, is like their Supreme Court, I think is it's a little different. Their Supreme Court has a lot of power and more active than passive. But um, anyway, that's been interesting, right? And he's so Elon's been tweeting a lot, basically calling it out and being like, "Hey, these guys are like this is the
Yeah.
just saying like this is tyrannical stuff." But our own government was doing this too. That's the problem, right? Is like
Hmm.
I have issues with this.
So the one that I did see, and this made it all the way up into like national and international news, presumably. There was the stabbing in Australia. I'm assuming you're aware of that, right? The guy who ran around stabbing women mostly.
Yeah,
Seems like a mental
Marmar
health issue. Yeah. So
something.
so obviously terrible, but apparently there was some footage of it. Somebody filmed like an actual part of the, like somebody being stabbed or whatever.
We're
And
talking
they
about that
posted it on
pastor
Twitter.
or something. The
Oh,
priest
oh,
got
yeah,
stabbed?
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it wasn't the stabbing in the mall. It was a different one. So this is the stabbing in like a church or something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody filmed it and then posted it
Yes.
on Twitter, and the Australian government is like, nope, you can't do this. You got to take it down. Um, what's your take on something like that? And that's a genuine question because I'm a little bit mixed on this, right? Like, it's violent. Somebody's being attacked. If it was my wife being stabbed, would I want that footage on Twitter?
Yeah, so that guy is I've seen stuff of his before. He does I'm pretty sure what they showed was his webcast. It's a webcast he does. And so
Hmm.
he's like broadcasting it. And then during the broadcast the guy comes up and stabs him. And so obviously he's okay with being filmed because he was filming himself even though he
Sure.
probably wasn't planning on getting stabbed during the filming. But
I think that's probably a safe assumption, but yeah.
so it's hard to say, but it, yeah, because maybe he would be like, I don't want people knowing that I got stabbed. I don't know, right?
Well, I mean, not even so much that I don't want them knowing that I got stabbed. Everybody's going to know that he got stabbed.
Mhm.
But uh, I don't
But
know. Think about
but
like
I no,
someone
I
close to you. Yeah, that's tricky.
absolutely no. That stuff should be available, right? Unless it's like, hmm, I gotta think about this because it's like because then you have non-consent, right? Someone
Yep.
filming in
That's the tricky
private
part.
bathroom
Hmm.
stuff, and
Yeah.
then doing which should be illegal, right? So if you should you be able to post illegally obtained footage? Probably not because it's illegal. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's but like yeah, if it's just about a matter of taste or content, yeah, you always put it. I mean, there's plenty of that already online. If you want
Sure. I mean,
like
yeah.
faces of death and everything.
I know. There's plenty of that nasty stuff. And now that I'm not necessarily trying to take sides. I'm asking questions. But if I were forced to take sides, there was recently here in Tampa again because we got to bring up Florida, right? Every episode has to have something about Florida.
The
Um,
world revolves around Florida.
of course. uh, Not that this is Tampa specific, but there was a woman who she's like middle aged, married to an older guy. And this older guy wanted a divorce because she was an alcoholic, right? He didn't realize it, but she's an alcoholic. And so, like, he was paying the bills. She was drinking all the time. She got pissed off, grabbed a knife, and attacked him, right? Stabbed him, like, I don't know, 15, 20 times or something. He's alive, but he, like, escapes out of the house, runs to his neighbor's house, gets inside his neighbor's house and locks the door. And she runs over there and is like pounding on the door, trying to break in. They call the police and she comes out into the driveway with the knife. And the police officer, who's like he's not a rookie, he's been on the force for like 3 years. He comes out and, drives up. He's there, after a few minutes. She comes running down the driveway with the knife up and he's like, drop the knife, drop the knife. And there's footage from his car and from his, body cam
Yeah.
of her coming at him. And she's literally saying, I'm not going to drop the knife. You're going to have to shoot me. And so she keeps getting closer and keeps getting closer.
Guess
And
what
then
happens?
he shoots her, right?
Right.
And I mean, obviously, terrible in lots of different ways. So I'm not trying to say this is good, but I don't know. I don't know if I should admit this, right? I kind of wanted to watch the footage. And they showed it all the way up until
Right.
he fires, right?
Right.
And then they're like, no, we're not going to show you that, right? And he shot her, I don't know, it was like 6 times or something. I don't know if she died. Maybe she died, but um, okay. So is this like a decency thing that at a certain point you're just like, yeah, we don't want to show that. Um, or is it okay? Should we, because uh, the police obviously showed it, right? It was the news channels that decided to
They
cut
added
it.
it. Yeah.
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 So the police are like, we're going to show you because we've got an officer, right, who's now suspended with pay, right, while we investigate a shooting, because they do that every time that a police officer fires their gun. But they had to show everybody. They're like, hey, look, he did the right thing. He didn't do
Right.
anything wrong. Here's the footage. But then all the news stations are like, we're showing you the footage up until, and then we're
Right.
not going to show that.
But
What's your take?
this is just like Taylor Swift AI edited photos, right? Made the
Mhm.
news rounds. They didn't show the photos in the major new networks, right? Of course. And I don't even know if they showed blurry stuff. I don't think I actually saw
Yeah, probably
a
not.
broadcast,
Yeah.
but you could find it if you wanted to, right?
Hmm.
You should be able to. I mean, you probably could. And I assume, and no, I don't assume. You can find it. And so
Thank you for admitting that you looked for him, Tom.
no, I didn't look for it, but like what I'm saying is, of course you can find it. You'll be able to find it.
I'm sure you could find naked pictures of Taylor Swift that have been,
Right.
they're
What
AI.
I'm saying is this happens all the time. You'll get a, hey, this sex video was released by these celebrities. They're not going to show it, or they
Right.
might show just a weird clip, but you're like, I'm sure there's like the search spikes for that clip, right? And people
Mhm.
going online to actually try and find it. And so it's just like, yeah, out of taste, they're going to say, okay, this happened, but we're not going to show you. If you want to go find it, you can find it, right? And it's just like, so I mean, that all just seems that seems like the media's what's the word? That's their um whatever their discretion,
At
right?
their discretion. Yeah.
That
Okay.
they can do that, and then if you and but it's available. You can go find it. You can grab it, right? It's just like that's okay.
Okay. So to bring this back to kind of specific hate speech stuff that you were talking about, if the Australian government says to Twitter, "Hey, if you want to operate in our country, you can't show that," should the Australian government be allowed to do that?
Um, right, that this is illegal in our country to show on these
Right.
platforms. Right. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying like, is it the right thing? I think again, both of us are close to free speech absolutists. Yeah, whether that's okay or not, I don't know. But should they have the ability to go after a platform if that platform is basically putting stuff up there that they disagree with morally? It's like a moral disagreement, right?
Right.
That it's
Well,
morally
right.
repugnant to show this kind of footage.
Right, right. And I think, and that's the issue is, right, a lot of these seem to be politically motivated as opposed to morally motivated.
Mhm.
And I'd have to look at that, right? Is like, because if there's a law on the, and they're like, okay, do we respect this law from this country for this, for this? I don't know, right? It's like it is a form of censorship, but it's
Mhm.
just out of sort of like a decency standard as opposed to political politically motivated.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know on that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
But
How did
that's
we get from
RFK.
here? Yeah, we're like, let's go back to RFK. Um, so your second
But
question, maybe we
here's
should go
what
back to that. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
my take is that he's actually favored. So he gets played a lot in conservative news.
Mm,
He is, he's played very favorably because he's critical of the Biden administration.
mm,
And so I feel like that's part of the reason why um he's being he's being viewed, he's polling better with conservatives. And here's the interesting thing is that there was a ad. I don't know when it came out, but I saw it. I saw the ad, and it's basically the Biden administration has all of these Kennedys on, and
hmm
even like RFK's sister, and they're all saying like you should vote for Biden, right? It's a Biden thing saying Kennedy's vote for Biden, and so it's so they're not only are they not promoting him on mainstream media, but the Biden administration is actively like attacking him, right?
Yeah.
Or sort of like trying to divert or discredit him.
Yeah.
So clearly they see him as a threat, and I think they're trying to shut that
hmm
down. So like, I can see why he's polling better with conservatives.
Yeah.
He's being highlighted, showcased in a better light.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. The article that you sent showed that ad, right? So it talked about the ad of a bunch of Kennedys like, yeah,
Mhm.
we don't agree with this guy, right? Even though he's a relative. Um, those kinds of things have happened before. I don't mean to get us off track, but there was a politician in Arizona who, I don't know if you remember this, but like his whole family came out against him. They're like, this dude's a lunatic. Like, we would never vote for him. We despise him, even though he's our brother. And he still won. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, obviously RFK doesn't have a
Made
chance
for an
of
awkward
actually winning.
Thanksgiving dinner
Yeah, I
later that year.
know. Um, I don't know. What would you think, right? Like for a candidate where all of the people who know them best are like, don't vote for this guy. This guy's crazy.
Oh, well, you can find that anywhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't really attribute anything to it if family members are like, dude's a lunatic. Don't vote for the crazy person.
You've got some Bidens that have been on Fox News that have gone. There's Trumps that are disenfranchised, right?
Hmm.
Um, I don't think that's a. You can always find some because it's a big, powerful person, right? It's like someone's got some axe to grind, right? They didn't give me money once when I needed some or whatever, right? He's a jerk.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay. No, that's interesting.
I don't know if yeah. Like if it was a big, powerful person, right? I think that's a different story, right? That, you know, it, but if it's just like, oh, look, the uncle that came over, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Anything
Obama,
else you
oh,
wanted to say on that? Or
yeah, Obama had was it a dad, is a dad or, oh, no, it was a sibling, I think, like a half sibling that would call him out, this and
oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, whatever.
Interesting.
Meghan Markle, the queen, the English queen, she's got a dad that's always talking trash on her.
Yeah,
Or
she
like
does.
stepdad.
Yeah, something
Anyway,
like that.
it's
Yeah.
always somebody in the family. Hates you.
Yeah, so be it. All right. Did we
So
hit
no,
RFK?
not voting for RFK.
Uh, I mean, the anti-vax thing really does bug me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if he's like pro free speech, like that's great, but he's also like pro kids getting, you know, diphtheria, and I'm like, yeah, or measles, and I'm like, come on.
I'm gonna look up and see if I can find something and see if it's as bad as you're saying the Wall Street Journal saying or the New York Times is saying.
On what? On the vaccines or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is Associated Press. Yeah. So Associated
Associated Press.
Press is like, yeah, he's pretty anti-vax.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to
yeah.
hear what he
Uh,
says. All right, cool.
so next topic, yeah?
Next topic, murder rates.
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this was way back when like Josh was on the podcast. He was making the point that murder rates were just like going through the roof in large progressive cities, right? So it's like
Hmm.
all of these liberal cities, like murderers abound, and like there's all sorts of major problems. Um, Wall Street Journal, pretty conservative newspaper, and they're reporting. So this came out April 14th. Said there's been a 20% reduction in homicide rates in 133 major cities this year.
Hmm.
Philadelphia saw a 35% decline, New York City 15%, Columbus, Ohio 58%. Basically, homicides are down all across like all these major cities. And then even property crimes. Now, and this one I do think is a little bit more in Josh's favor, right? But property crimes are down in San Francisco and some of these other major cities where have been making this point of like, oh, they're just letting people walk out with whatever. Yeah, people finally got fed up with it. They cracked down on it. They've got more police involved. They've reinstituted, different criminal penalties, different things like that. So I get that. But what this homicide trend seems to suggest to me is that it's probably not progressive politics that is the result, like that caused this spike, right?
Hmm.
Um, it was probably just the pandemic, right? We saw a big spike and it's down to pre-pandemic levels. We're back to where we were. But I'd love your take on this, Tom. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, so I did look up what I did look up some stats on it. And a little bit more. I think I got it up here, but um yeah, basically they have been falling. They went so they basically 1960s, it goes up into the peaks in the 80s, and then it's just been falling since the
Mm-hmm.
80s. And this has been a big thing, right? It's like
Yep.
crime, so this is interesting. Our perception of crime is that it's worse, but it's actually
Yes.
getting better, right? And I've heard
Uh-huh.
this a lot over the years,
Yeah.
right? Like it's actually, and so it's this fear mongering kind of that happens. Now, it dropped to a low in 2014, and then yeah, it did spike um in 2020, basically,
Hmm.
considerably. And then now we're going back down, but we're not to the lows. And
No.
so it's here's the thing. If there's anything I've learned about it, in trading is nothing goes up in a straight line, nothing goes down in a straight line.
Right.
And so like until it breaks 2014 lows, I would I don't know. Jury's out, right? This is an up this could still be an upward trend, right? It's just like, you're right.
A
We
bit,
go
a
up from
blip.
the pandemic and then we're kind of like taking a little bit of a retracement and then we might be going up again. I don't know, right? It's yeah, I don't know if it's progressive policies or cities or something like that. And I haven't heard anything that says that this is that it's like that it's liberal cities that this is happening, that it's been spiking in more than other cities. I don't, but I haven't even read enough to know. But
Hmm.
no, so I just say crime has gone up. It's gone down a little bit in the last couple of years, but but we're not, jury's out on whether that's a larger trend, or this is just a retracement of an upward trend, or this is actually a reversal. So I don't know. Um, can't say, but yeah. Uh,
So okay. Again, just to play around with this for a second, at what point do we get to say, because he's not here, right? He's going to listen to this and he's going to be pissed and he's going to contact me. He's like, dude, why
mm.
didn't you get me on the podcast before you badmouth me? At what point do we get to say Josh was wrong?
He was right. Crime did go up, right? Was going up
For
in the
sure, right?
pandemic.
But he put it all on
He was
the
saying the liberal
mayors of these
policies.
liberal cities, right?
Ah,
There's like, oh,
right.
these
Okay.
liberal cities, they're like letting people do whatever they want, and that's why the crime is all crazy and high. And I hope I'm remembering that. If I'm not, Josh can give me a whole bunch of shit later, and that's
We're
fine, right? Maybe it was somebody
we're
else who
gonna
said it.
do a replay.
Yeah. And he has said he, may come back on. We'll see. But at what point, if it's going back down and it's going back down in progressive cities, right? At what point do we go, okay, it's actually not progressive policies that lead to spikes in murder rates, right? In
Right.
particular. So
What
at what point would you be convinced of that, Tom?
Well, it's as interesting because we had that guy on a little while ago, the bonds guy, and he talked about crime, right? And he was saying crime was going up in these cities, and he said you can't trust property or theft or burglaries because you've got like this $950 or less is not a
Yeah.
chargeable crime, and so which is going to skew the data. It will skew the data, and so he was talking about that you track grand theft autos. And I think you did. I mean, I'm just going off what you looked up, like that Washington D.C. was seeing an increase in Grand Theft Auto, and he's saying that they're basically they run in tandem. That petty crime and those kind of crimes are kind of are related, correlated. So I thought that was interesting. I haven't done a lot of research on it, so I'm just saying there is some skewing with policies and things like that that you're like, okay, well, is it safer or not? Now, murder, on the other hand, usually the body does get reported, right? And so, like, yeah. So I like if it broke 2014 lows, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, we are definitely. I don't care what anyone says, we're safer, right? I don't care how many videos get thrown up in my face on the news, we're definitely safer. Um,
Interesting.
We'll
Okay.
see. Yeah, because I like a lot of these. This happens a lot, right? You see
Hmm.
inflation, right? Inflation's going down. It goes under 3%, almost, oh my gosh, it's heading right towards the 2% target. Oh, look, the last couple of months, it's boring, bouncing
Yeah, it
right
goes
back
back
up.
up.
And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
stuff can be resilient. And people are saying we're into another cycle of so like I guess if you compare the 70s, there was the inflation cycles, and we
Mhm.
had three waves. We had three waves where like got it went up, started coming down, and then it went up, and then went right back up and went higher again. And so that's an interesting so people are saying, oh, it's doing the exact same thing. I don't know if it is, but but there are some similarities. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll have to get Josh back on to defend himself. It's like progressive policies, murder. Ah. Sorry, Josh. Hate to caricaturize you on the podcast without you here to defend yourself. You're just gonna have to come back and defend yourself. That's the
Here,
situation.
all right, I'm going to throw something at you. This is really interesting. And
Yep.
I should throw out, I should try and find the chart, but I'm not going to. There's a chart that shows the use of in media, the term race, racism, and yeah, something else.
Racialization.
Yeah, or something like that, right?
Okay.
And it's showing in the last 5 years the turn just skyrocketing, and in news, and it shows all these different news organizations and their use of the word switch. So are we more? So this is the thing I'm saying about murder, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, we're such a dangerous country, and we're actually not, right?
We're not. No.
Are we becoming a more racist country
Hmm.
or less racist country?
That's an interesting question. So let me address that first thing, and then we'll come back to the racist country. But
I'm gonna
the
try
reason
fine.
why people have this perception that our country is really dangerous isn't necessarily even because of the news. I mean, obviously, the news highlights this. And I actually saw a great article the other day that was it was a comic that was actually really funny. Maybe I should pull it up. But um, people love watching like dramas that are all about crime, right? So if you're just watching TV,
Like
violence and
CSI,
crime, yeah,
something
it's
like that.
pervasive. So if that's all people are watching is stuff about crimes, um, then you're gonna think that society is actually more dangerous. I'm
Oh,
not
that's what
trying to
you
say that.
think is contributing to it?
Yeah, I think it's a big contributor. Um, I'm not trying to say that I'm somehow like amazing or special. I do teach statistics. I'm aware of the statistics. I've seen crime rates dropping for a long time, right? Now we
Right.
did see this recent spike back up, but they've been going down. And during that whole time, right? And we've had some of these conversations before, but during
Yes.
that whole time, people were like, my kids are like at such danger. Like I should never let
Yeah.
them walk outside the house.
Yes.
And it turns out that like it was dangerous for us to walk outside the
Yes,
house when we were in the
exactly. Much more
1970s, right?
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, your kid's going to be fine,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like
yet
the
we're more
odds, yeah,
paranoid. Yeah.
absolutely. So what is causing people to be so paranoid when the statistics are the exact opposite?
Yes.
And it's not just the news, right? I don't want to give the impression it's like the news because if it bleeds, it leads. It's actually everything that people are watching, right? So
Mm.
if you're watching dramas, not comedies, right? Comedies are not going to do this as much, but any drama on TV has to have some sort of conflict, right? Conflict and violence. It's there, it's pervasive. Um, and people just aren't aware of the subtle way that this is influencing their perceptions of
This
society, that
is
society
this
is really
is your
dangerous.
theory, or you have
Oh,
stats
no,
on
no,
this?
there's sociological research that supports
It's
this,
just
right?
like the presence of crime, whether fictional or not, being displayed creates this
Yeah,
like idea that it's there.
it's pervasive. I mean,
Interesting.
yeah. So if you think about it, right, like every episode of CSI is about a murder,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
I mean,
If you
horrible.
lived in a city that had that many murders, right,
Right.
like it would be horrible.
Hmm.
No cities have that many murders that it's like, we're busy again, right? Like, every murder that happens in my city makes the news, and it's not that many, right? And I live in a big city, right?
Right.
The greater metropolitan area has 3 million people. We're the entire, like, our metropolitan area is the size of all of Utah. How many murders do you guys have in a year, right? In all of Utah, it's not even enough that there's one a day,
Hmm.
right? But if you're watching CSI, there's at least one an episode. So you're walking away from this going like, wow, people are dying all the time. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, they are, but not from murder, right? They're dying from old age, from cancer. How compelling of a story is it? Just be like, and somebody died from cancer. Okay, right. They want the conflict, and conflict is easy to do when it's violence. It's pervasive. It's all over the
Interesting.
stories. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, I
so yeah,
I'm I'm with you on I think I'm with you on that.
yeah.
But
Um,
like,
yeah.
so I just sent you the link. I texted it
Oh,
to you,
okay.
to
Let
the
me see.
image, the chart. And it's basically just like major news organizations using the word
Use of
racism,
race. Okay, so
racist.
this was the main question that you were actually asking me. So let me pull it up and look. Percent of all words. Okay, so we're still talking a very small percent. Um, that I can definitely see an increase.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
But
but like
we're
you don't
yeah,
need in a news article about racism, right? You're going to use the word 3 times, right? That's
sure.
that's what I'm saying. Is that you're not going to still not going to use it a lot, but yeah, definitely an increase. And the point I'm trying to make is so there was a um video of Dennis Prager. He does the Prager University videos, and he's very conservative. And he was
Mhm.
on Bill Maher, and he said, America is the least racist country in the world. And the audience like booed him, and he was like, and the fact that you guys are booing me says that you have no idea like what you're talking about. And so they went on about it, and he was like, I think I think he's 100% correct. I wouldn't say the least. I would say top five, but I very confidently say top five, top 10, very confidently. Because I mean, like I've been to Japan.
Sure.
I know what racism looks like. And there's like Africa, very racist toward other tribes. Rwanda, they killed like a whole nother tribe, right? That like there's
Yeah.
some serious issues. Japanese do not like other races and are very, they
I'm aware of the kind of xenophobia of the Japanese. It's very well known, right? They're very
yes.
xenophobic.
And I
There's no
think
question.
Chinese have issues as from what I've read that,
Yeah.
the Uyghurs and other things that they're extremely racist of that. So it's like, I actually, the more I read, the more I believe that's correct. Right. And like the efforts we've made, I think are very significant.
Uh-huh.
Is there racism? Does it
Yes.
exist?
Yes.
100%. Right.
Right. Um, so
But
um,
sorry, and the point I'm making is, but the
yeah.
media talks about this so much. We have this heightened idea. It's the exact same thing as the murder, right? It's like, oh, this is a dangerous place. We're like, oh, we're a racist country. You're like,
And
actually,
it's actually getting
no,
better. I mean,
we're
I would
yeah,
certainly argue that it's gotten better. I mean, we're not in the 1940s anymore, right? We're not in the
no,
1910s. Um, two quick thoughts. So one about the chart, and I'll do the chart second. The Prager thing. How do you quantify that we're the least racist country on the
right,
planet, right? Like,
right.
so,
Wait, I don't
so,
know.
right. That would be my only quibble with this, right? Is like, if you can show me like quantitatively that we're the least racist country, then I
Because
would be convinced. You can't just
I'd
throw that
actually
out and just
make
like, we're the least racist.
I'd actually make an argument that Sweden, like they've imported all these people, and like it's like they're like up to like 25% of their population they brought in,
Mhm.
and they're having some huge problems with it. But um yeah, like I'm shocked at how generous they were to like all these
Yeah.
immigrants. And so
Uh,
like,
I'll give you just one country that I would say is actually less racist than the US, and that's Canada. Sorry, our
maybe
Canadian neighbors are actually very friendly,
right.
and I know that's a bit of a stereotype, but they also have much more generous immigration policies,
Mhm.
um, and they actually feel bad about their historic genocide against Indigenous people, and they've tried to do something about it, right?
Right.
So I can think of at least one country just kind of off the top of my head that's less
Right.
racist than we are,
Right. And
but
that's why I would say top 5, top 10.
yeah,
Like I'm
but
pretty
I would
comfortable
want to
saying
see
that.
how he's quantifying this, right?
Right.
So, sure, he can be provocative. I just, whenever somebody's like, "We are the least racist," I'm like, show me the numbers. Like, tell me how you came up with that, right? If you want to say that we're not as racist as people think, I'd probably agree with that. Okay, so that's the
Yes.
Prager thing. That's interesting. On these numbers, so
Would
again,
you would
oh,
you agree with any of that? Top 5,
uh,
top 10?
God, I mean, there are 192 roughly countries, right? Depending on which countries we're counting, is South
Yeah.
Sudan a new country or
If
whatever?
if Haiti's still in the
Yeah,
running or not.
exactly. I mean, so give or take, 10 countries or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to go through and think about it. I think you're right. And I do have these conversations occasionally with people where I will point out something like Japan, right? Or all the immigration stuff that's happening in Europe right now. People don't realize that the primary basis behind Brexit was effectively racism, right? They wanted to exit the European Union because they were tired of getting immigrants.
Hmm.
Because if they're part of the European Union and those immigrants are able to get to Europe, then they can actually go to the UK and the UK can't stop it. So they're like, if we exit the UK or if we exit the European Union, then we can cut off immigration, which is
Right. That's
pretty
not.
stinking racist.
I don't know if that's exactly racist, but like it's definitely. I mean, I'm sure
Anti-immigrant.
that's part of it. It's anti-immigrant, yes, for
It's
sure.
100% anti-immigrant, right?
Yeah,
And trust me, Tom, if it was you immigrating to the UK, do you think they'd have that big of an issue with it? Right?
probably not.
Probably not. What they don't want is poor migrants, primarily from Africa and the Middle East,
Yes,
migrating, right?
yes,
Conveniently, their skin color tends to be darker than yours, right?
yeah, but like you
So
could make the argument that it's economic. There's
you could make that argument,
it's what
right?
Trump said. Like S whole countries, right? Like coming over. It's just like people with lots of problems. What does he say? When they're bringing them over, they're not bringing their best, and
Which
it's
is actually
true.
not true.
Oh
Statistically,
my
they
God.
are their best. No, and we actually have known that for decades. They are the youngest and healthiest of the people because the old and sick, they can't migrate, right? They're not physically capable of
You're
migrating.
saying it's a Hunger Games, like
Yeah,
the
it
fittest and the
effectively it
best can
is.
make it across the border.
That's actually what it is, right? So he's saying like, oh, they're not giving us their best and brightest. Actually, that's literally who they're giving us, right?
Oh,
So it's the exact opposite. We've known that just like
yes.
numerically and statistically for a very long time.
Right. But
So
well, they are pretty needy, super like three
some of
times
them
more
are,
likely to be
yeah,
on government needing government services and benefits.
at least initially, right? But I mean,
Sure,
imagine
yeah.
if you were a refugee, right? So there's a big difference between migrants and refugees,
Yes.
and we tend not to make that distinction. Refugees are literally running for their lives. We give them refugee status. They're coming with nothing. If you're a migrant, right? I mean, you could migrate to the UK right now, and when you get there, you're like, okay, I need government handouts, right? The reason why they'd let you in is because you have money, you've got skills, right? They'd be perfectly fine with you migrating to the country. I could migrate to Australia. If I got a job offer in Australia and I migrated, I wouldn't be using any government services. It's the refugees that are actually using the government services, but we tend to
Yeah.
mix those, right? We really need to separate out that refugees are the ones who are like, I have nothing. I
Right.
literally was running for my life, right?
Yeah, right. And I think
Okay.
that's fair to make the distinction that is often the case and not just race. It's just that people are racist, right? That
Right.
they have concerns about, hey, we only want so many refugees in the country at a time.
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, and Norway and Sweden and Finland, all of those Scandinavian countries have taken a sizable number.
yes.
Don't get me wrong though, they are pretty racist. Um and I
Norwegian countries
oh yeah, all the
or
Scandinavian countries are pretty
Scandinavian
racist.
countries.
Um and I love like I've been to Norway, right? Beautiful country. The people are absolutely super cool. Though if I were black, I wonder if I would have had the same experience,
As
right?
accepted, right?
Yeah. I have a very good friend. So I'm working on this big, international collaborative grant. She's in Norway, right? She lives in Norway. She's Norwegian, and she was married to a black man from the US for like 20 something years, I think. She
Yeah.
was like, you have no idea how
Mm,
racist Norwegians are.
mm,
So I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to say that that you're wrong, right? There is a lot of racism out there. I was having this conversation just the other day. The reason why racism is such a pervasive issue here in the US is because we have a sizable minority population.
right.
Whereas, up until 30 years ago, the Scandinavian countries were almost monolithically one race, right? If
Hmm.
you will, if you want to call them races. So they didn't have a lot of racial issues because how do you have racial issues if everybody's the same race, right? Like you find other things to fight over. You can fight over politics, you can fight over whatever,
Right.
right? But you're not
Yeah.
going to fight over race if everybody's the same race. That makes it pretty easy to say like we're not racist, right? This is why I don't mean to pick on Utah, right? But Utah, it's changing, right? But the entire time we were growing up, right? When we were
Yeah.
born in the 70s, right? It was a really white state, like
Sure.
really, really white. And
Yeah.
so Utah would be like, hey, we're not racist. And I'm like, yeah, sure, we're not racist, but who are we going to target? Right? Like there's nobody to be racist against because there are no people of color in the state. It's starting to shift. Maybe things are changing. I don't really know, right? But do you remember growing up? And I'm not going to name names. I don't want to name anybody, but how many people of color did we have in our school, Tom?
One, I know his name. Um,
And it was pretty easy to not be a racist towards the one person who was adopted by a white family, right?
we it's that's an interesting thing, right? I once had a riff written up about that. I'm like, well, it really wasn't our fault. Like, we just kind of got kicked out and got planted over here. You're like the fact that we're not colorful enough is by being blamed by the rest of the nation that we're not colorful. It's like parents blaming their kids that they're not diverse enough, right? And you're like, well, it's kind of your fault, not mine.
I didn't really do anything to deserve this. Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So
because it's
sorry.
always this funny thing, like, you guys
Yeah.
are so white. You're like, well, yeah, we got kicked out. We came here. I'm like,
Yeah.
what if you could have sent some colored people over if you wanted to, could have sent them over, but you didn't. So this is sort of on
Yeah.
you, not us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right. And it complicated. So coming back to the chart, I'm not surprised by this, but I do want to point out, and I'll put this up, right? So I will actually put it up for our viewers, but I can
do you
describe the chart
agree
too.
that that would be great. Do you agree that there's a heightened, this sort of this hyper awareness of race that's kind of gotten more and more elevated over at least the last decade? When because right, we didn't talk about
Yeah.
race like this in the 80s, right?
No.
And
Well, I mean, again, we were in our white enclave in Morgan, Utah, where we had the one black person.
right. No, that's true. But
Yeah.
like it's that we're talking about it more than ever and more hyper aware and hypersensitive to it when we're probably doing our best, right? I'm making the exact argument with murder rates, right? It's like we're talking about, oh, it's so dangerous here, blah blah blah, and yet we're probably the safest we've ever been.
Yeah. No, I think race relations have improved a lot, right? Even recently. And I don't know, maybe some sociologists out there would be like, oh, burn him at the stake, he's a heretic, right? Actually, I think they're probably getting better, right? Um, and I don't know to what extent I would attribute that to the hyper awareness, right? So maybe it's not the hyper awareness, maybe the hyper awareness, like I don't know the causal
No, I think
direction,
I
right?
think
It
it's
could
I
be
think it's the
either way.
same thing with the safety thing. Like it's the
Yeah,
opposite.
right. So, and it very well could be. I do want to point out the chart, right? So the chart, just describing this for our podcast listeners, it has four news outlets: the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, and Wall Street Journal, which I actually do appreciate because the Wall Street Journal is conservative. We were talking about this earlier. I don't know if it was before the podcast. New York Times obviously leans slightly to the left. Wall Street Journal leans slightly to the right. I think that's fair, Tom, right? There are definitely more progressive and more conservative outlets than either of those. Los Angeles Times and Washington Post are, I don't know, probably close to the middle. So it has four, I would say, diverse, right? Not radical, but fairly diverse groups. And for all four of them, less so for the Wall Street Journal, there's been an uptick. But I always like pointing out the scale on the y-axis, right? So the x-axis is time. The y-axis shows the percent of all words. And of course, at the bottom is 0. And then the first kind of crosshatch isn't 1%. It's 0.01%.
Yeah.
Okay. And it only goes up to 0.03%.
Right.
So they've definitely
skyrocketing.
Yes.
But it's actually pretty minuscule increase.
It's pretty minuscule, right? So they've inflated that y-axis to maximize the change, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had this on a scale from 0 to 100, you wouldn't even see the line.
Yeah, you wouldn't see,
right?
Exactly.
And if you just did the scale from 0 to 1, this would be a much smaller increase.
Right.
Now, okay, that's fine. We can still inflate it and we can say from 2012 basically to 2020, it looks like there's been a pretty sizable increase. The Washington Post actually wins, right? So they've got the biggest increase. The Wall Street Journal, they're up, right, from not even 0.01%. They've never crossed 0.01%. I would say they started at like 0.008, maybe 0.005.
Yeah, I think a better way of putting it is that they've at least 3x'd, right?
So they've gone up like maybe 3 times or something. Right. Los Angeles Times is just barely above the Wall Street Journal, and then the New York Times is actually below the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
they've all increased, right? Okay. Uh, I think that's totally fair. I wouldn't be surprised if this is totally accurate. There's been an increase. I mean, it looks fine. It's a bit inflated, right? That we talked about that. Um, okay, so what's the big point here? Like, what's our takeaway? What are we trying to get at? And is it coming back to the same thing of like, there's so much of this being represented in the news that it's actually making us hyper aware to make us think that it's actually worse than it is, when in reality things are getting better.
Yes, that's exactly the
Okay.
point I'm making.
I damn it, Tom. Why do we keep agreeing? We found common ground again.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's fine.
yeah, well, right. And I saw that yesterday, and I'd already looked up the murder thing, and I'm like, well, this is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, funny. Well, interesting stuff.
Yeah. You have one bonus topic for us tonight, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Tom's really excited about this
And I think you're
bonus
gonna like
topic.
this actually.
All right, let's hear it. What do we
Okay,
got?
so I think I was talking last time about the Roman Empire. I think I brought it up. No, I know it was 2 episodes ago. I think I was talking about the Roman Empire and some similarities between the fall of the Roman Empire and the U.S. And before I was talking about the Gracchus brothers and comparing them to Trump. But so this is interesting. I was reading a totally different article, but one of the things they've cited, and I've heard this before, but I've never looked into the issue because I thought they were just being hateful or whatever. But like they talked about Christianity as one of the reasons for the fall of the Roman Empire. Really interesting. And the more I looked at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally agree with this. And what happened, so essentially what you have here is Christ, right? 30 AD dies. And then you got his apostles that go out, and then it's just like a slow conversion, right? And I think it's not till like 300 AD that Constantine
Constantine. It's 325,
becomes
but yeah. Right.
he becomes Christian, and then
Hmm.
I can't remember if it's him or Justinian, but makes Rome a Christian nation, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we are a Christian nation. So what you see throughout that time, basically the 100 years before and the 100 years after, which is basically the fall of the Roman Empire, that whole time frame, is this like you have like an incredible uh what's the word, that they're treating people differently, not what's the word am I trying to when you treat people wrong, not
Discrimination.
racism,
Yes.
discrimination
Okay.
of non-Christians is what happens. As Christianity grows more and more in power, its
Right.
pagans are targeted,
Hmm.
temples destroyed, statues torn down, and at one point they're not able to hold office, and so there's a lot of this discrimination, until it's basically completely outlawed, right? And it's like, no, and there was like a one chance, I think later on they tried to bring paganism back, and not really bring it back, but they're just trying to say not make it illegal, right?
Hmm.
Like it's okay to have it. And then I think like it passed for a little bit, but then it got reversed like shortly after. And then and it's basically like, nope, Christianity or death. It's kind of a thing. Like we're all gonna become Christian or not. And so that was very interesting. And what so I saw a follow-up video which was really interesting, and they were showing videos of, it was like a movie, but they were showing people, these Christians running into this temple and tearing down like Zeus, the statue of Zeus or something. It's from some movie. I don't know what it
Hmm.
was. But then they were showing side by side, they were showing liberal people protesting tearing down statues of our founding fathers, right? And like that we saw like over the last 2 or 3 years, pulling them down, yanking them
Hmm.
down, and saying, kicking them and hitting and spraying painting them and stuff like that, and throwing them in the river. And so I was like, very, very interesting. I was like, that is a thing. So I totally see that being a thing. Like see that being a thing. In There was, so what I saw was really chilling. There was a person on, was it NBC, on their news, and it talked about like, and she was this expert that was talking about like the dangers of white nationalism, Christian nationalism.
Christian nationalism. Yeah.
And she was saying that because the Christians didn't recognize, it was really a weird argument. Now I can't remember exactly what she said, but that we didn't recognize the law, the laws were from God, not from the nation, right? Is the sort of thing. And like that could be a dangerous idea. And like I was like, oh, this is the beginning. I was like, this is the beginning. And like, so I'm like, I've seen some other things, right? Just like Christian nationalism and the threat of Christian nationalism. I read already a couple articles, but I'm like, I think this is just gonna grow. It's just gonna grow, and we're gonna see this thing. Like I think, just like I'm making a prediction that you're gonna see the persecution of Christians as a threat, and you're gonna see more and more measures made that will limit and strip them of power. And I think very similar to what Christians did in during the Roman Empire. This was the other comparison that I thought was really interesting. Christians were the nice religion. They were the kind religion, right? Romans were they did it was Romans that did the Colosseum, right? They are the ones that had the arenas and they would kill people, the crucifixions and things like this. This was their Romans were extremely brutal, extremely bloody, right? And Christians were this nice, kind, peace-loving people, right? And
No, but
no,
okay, let's
right, but no,
pretend.
at the time, this is the teachings, this is the doctrine, right? And
Okay.
well, and that's sort of the irony as well, right? Is that because they become sort of the
Crusades, conquistadors,
yeah, Spanish
brutal mass
Inquisition,
murderers.
yeah, 100%, right?
Yes.
And
100 Years War, like you name it. Yes. Brutal.
exactly, but that this is the narrative at the time, right? In 200, 300 AD, this
Oh,
is the
they're saying
narrative.
that Christians are the good guys.
Right. Well, they're
Yeah.
the kind, loving, merciful, right? And this is all the teachings at the time, right? And this is the exact arguments that we have, right? And like oppressors, Christians are the colonizers, the oppressors, and the privileged, and right. And then what we have this inclusive, this new like dogma that's like it's inclusive and kind and loving, and love is love, and this is the kind thing, right? And we're gonna this argument, right, that it's better and it's more virtuous, and that it's going to help and help us bring us to the new age, right, of inclusivity. And what I think we're gonna see is the exact same thing, right? History repeating itself, and the kind liberators are going to become the new oppressors, the new tyrants. But just like you were mentioning, right? It's like how quickly we turn and become and corrupt once we have the
For
power.
sure. Yeah.
So interesting, interesting things. I was just thinking about that, and I mean,
Hmm.
I know I'm dabbling into religion, but I'm mixing with politics and
Right.
of what I think, what we've seen and what I think we're seeing today, and what I'm gonna say is like Christians are gonna lose. They're gonna lose big time. Like that's absolutely gonna happen. Like and that's what and to kind of keep on with that, when I was going on about the Gracchus brothers and like
Hmm.
Julius Caesar in the Senate, the Optimates, which would you would call the Republicans today, they lost eventually, and the populares take over, and like they become, and then they fractionate, right? The populares, and that's exactly what we're seeing today. Is Republicans have just ceded ground, right, over the decades, right? We were against gay marriage. Okay, now we'll allow gay marriage. We're for gay marriage too. We're not against it, right? We just see a ceding over to liberal values, right? The
Hmm.
shifting over to the left, where the left is going deep, 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 and they're going into uncharted territory right now. And the Republicans and the right are sort of just following along. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Did you want me to respond
Yeah,
or
I'd love for you
yeah,
to
yeah.
respond.
Okay. Um, well, there's a lot going on here, Tom, and we're treading into some territory that is like stuff that I actually study. So
Mm,
so I'll try and be somewhat brief, but I want to start with one thing to get a little bit of clarity just to make sure that I've got this clear. When
yes.
you said right at the beginning of this that you saw some similarities between Christians pulling down pagan statues and liberals pulling down statues.
Mhm.
Just to be clear, I don't think liberals have been pulling down statues of George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. They've been largely pulling down or advocating for the removal of statues of Confederate leaders, right? Not founding fathers. So it's not like statues of Benjamin Franklin, they're spray painting those and like tearing those down. It's you know whatever, Lee, right? Like, it's the leaders of Confederate movements in the South that they're like, this represents racism. We want those gone.
Okay, so first off,
Is that fair to say?
yes.
Okay.
However, I have read a lot of that in opposition to Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas
Well, I
Jefferson.
mean, people are going to be critical of them, sure, but no one's like, okay, the Jefferson, on the National Mall, there's like that massive statue of Abraham Lincoln, right? Like
Mhm.
huge seated statue. Maybe somebody's like defaced it. There are always going to be kids who do stupid stuff, but no one's been gone in there and
Well,
was like, blow it up, tear it down. We got to remove the Lincoln
oh,
monument, right?
I no, that's exactly the Lincoln Monument has been. I've read this that there is a movement to get rid of the Lincoln Monument. 100%.
What?
Yes. Yes.
It's clearly not gotten any traction in
Well,
any
no, it had. I
media,
mean,
in any mainstream media
all right.
whatsoever.
Mark my words.
I
Mark my
I
words.
would be astonished, right? Because
Yeah,
yeah, I
100%.
would be astonished. But so I think there's a little bit of confusion there, but that's fine,
No,
right? So
so
I just wanted to clarify that.
what I'm saying is we're targeting our old hierarchy of value system, right? That's what I that would say. And you're like Christianity is going to be a part of that, but yeah, right now it's racism,
Yes.
slaveholders, and
Well, and
slavery.
one
Call it.
thing that yeah,
It's gonna move into colonialization and right, and
it
then
may.
that's
It may. And and
it's.
and if it does, then I will totally concede that you were right on this.
But the
Uh
verbiage is
yeah.
already getting used, right? It's like, oh, colonies, oh, Christians, right? White Christians, blah, blah, blah. Like that.
Uh
It's already getting peppered in there. It's
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about
the
Christianity
plane
stuff, the
has
white Christian
already
nationalism.
left. It's
Yeah,
on its
well,
way.
we'll see. Um, yeah, so I think, one point that I wanted to make really quick about those statues is the vast majority of those statues to Confederate leaders were actually erected after the Civil War. And in
Mm,
fact, during the peak of Jim Crow laws, when the KKK was actually quite rampant, which is
mm.
like late 1800s, early 1900s, they weren't done like immediately after the Civil War or during the Civil War or pre-Civil War, right? They were actually done during like the peak of
The
not
height of
slavery,
like,
yeah, but the height of like racial discrimination in the US. And it was
mm,
intentionally designed to say, like, we want to keep black people down. We want to celebrate
these are our
these people.
values.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I have somewhat mixed views on tearing down those statues, right? I don't think that we should just trash all of the people who have come before us. Clearly, we're not going to agree with things that people said 200 years ago, right? And that's fine. But those statues are not that old and they were specifically created, right? Most of these statues to Confederate leaders were created specifically with that aim. So I
You're
think that's a
okay
little
that
bit
they
more
were torn
complicated.
down.
The Confederate leaders ones, yes, right? If somebody started to go after Abraham Lincoln, or Jefferson or Washington, right? Not that I agree with everything they did. I get that Jefferson was having sex with his slaves, right? Like, okay, he had slaves, right?
See, he
Like,
clearly loves slaves.
uh, funny, probably inappropriate, but totally funny. I get it. None of them are perfect, right? Like, if we try and hold anybody up as perfect, we're
Right.
always going to be disappointed, right?
100%.
So I think we celebrate the victories that they gave us and we kind of ignore some of the warts because every single person who's done something amazing has had warts, right?
Right.
JFK, right? Like, he had warts, right? Every one of them had things that, like, okay, I don't love that about them, right? But
Mhm.
okay, they did some good things. So that would be the first quick point. But then I kind of want to flip this around a little bit and make two other, maybe three other points, just kind of wrestling with these ideas. So one, I reviewed a book more than a decade ago now, arguing. So the book was arguing. I was not
Mm.
arguing, right? The book was arguing that atheists were already effectively a majority in the United States and that Christians were being persecuted by
Mhm.
atheists.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Do you know the numbers? I mean, just so we have a sense of the numbers that we're
Right.
dealing with at this point,
Right.
right? So, in the last 5 years, roughly, Protestants finally crossed from being the majority, more than 50%, to about 48% of the population.
Right.
Tack Catholics onto that, we're back up to 70%, right? And then tack other various kind of minority Christian groups that maybe don't get included in there. Christians still make up a sizable percentage of the population, almost 70%.
Right.
Okay. Atheists, not the non-religious, atheists. Best surveys that we have put it at somewhere between like 3 and 12%. Some other surveys put it at higher than that, right? But come on.
Atheists are weird because
sure.
You have to be like, I declare he does not exist.
I mean, you just have to say I don't believe, right? But that's fine.
No,
so
that's not. No, they're like, I don't. Right?
No,
agnostic is like, I have no idea.
No, trust me, Tom. That's not what atheist means. This is literally what I write about. So we don't have to go down that path. We've tried to avoid it, but that's fine. So just think about that for a second.
Yeah,
the idea that 3% of the population are persecuting 70% of the population is patently absurd.
That's what are you talking about?
It makes no sense.
What are you talking? No, of course it makes sense. I mean,
the 3%, who haven't been elected to office have no power. But sure, right? I get that. But you're saying that the 3% have all the power? Name me one atheist who's actually a politician right now at any level.
Oh, right. Well, no,
they can't even get elected, Tom. Like it's absurd to think that atheists have all the power and they're discriminated against Catholic or Christians, right?
Right.
That's patently absurd.
No,
it makes no sense.
I don't think anyone. I think this is again a hypersensitivity. That I think when we say persecution, like it's like, oh, they didn't talk about Christianity on the news or something like that, right? It's like. No, I don't think anyone knows what persecution is. So I agree. No one's being. We haven't seen persecution yet, but like, yeah.
Well, and I will get to what many Christians think is persecution, right? So we're going to get to that in here in just a second because that's my next point. But the idea that basically a completely I don't want to say disenfranchised. Obviously, atheists have the right to vote, right? Though. They didn't always, but atheists really can't get elected for office. There are 20, right, of our sitting representatives. So in the House, right, not the Senate, there are like 20 who are part of a free thought caucus, which basically means like they're okay with people not being religious. And only 2 of them are out as being non-believers.
Right.
Out of 435 representatives.
I don't like Barack Obama's a Christian, right? It's like, sure. Right?
So the idea that like Christians are somehow this persecuted minority, like it makes no sense.
Not a persecuted minority. No, I wouldn't say minority for it all, but like
they're definitely not a minority.
There's definitely an anti-Christian.
Okay. So let's talk about that piece now, because that actually is, I think, really important. Okay. And it gets to this different issue, which is if somebody is asking for equal rights, right? And I've had this conversation before with other people, but if somebody's asking for equal rights, and what that means is somebody else doesn't get privilege anymore,
right?
Is that really persecution? Right. So if you have something, I'll give a specific, right? So I'll give specifics here in a second, but if you have something, right, and I'm not taking it away from you, I'm just asking to have the same rights.
Mm-hmm.
How is that persecution?
Right. It's not.
It's not. Okay. Right. So let me give some specific examples, and I'm going to use my favorite example because I'm happy to be teaching about them right now. Right. Here in got to bring up Florida again, right? But we can use plenty of other examples. Here in Florida, there was a school in Orlando that it was an elementary school. It granted privilege, right, to a local Christian group that as kids were walking off campus, they weren't off campus yet, but they were on campus. But as they were walking out of the school, this Christian group wanted to hand out Bibles. Okay. The school board was like, all right, whatever, that's fine. So the Satanic Temple, right, which they are recognized by the IRS as a religion, right?
Sure.
We can get into the details if we really want, but they said, well, hold on. If you're going to let Christians hand out Bibles,
right, then we
want to be able to hand out satanic coloring books. And if you
Sure.
haven't had a chance to look at it, their coloring books are really sweet. They're really cute, and they've got really positive messages. But it's
This is
called Satan's Big, coloring book or something like that,
yeah.
right?
It's just like the statue at the
Absolutely,
state
the
building.
Baphomet
Yeah.
statue, right?
No, I'm
So,
with you.
so they're basically saying, look, if Christians get to do it, then we get to do it.
Right.
And what does the school board do?
Like, yeah.
Nobody gets to do it. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
this is when Christians step in and say, see, we're being persecuted. You're taking away our rights. And the Satanists are like, no, we didn't. Right. We asked for the same rights. And when they gave them to us, then you guys freaked out. Right. Or they just took everybody's privilege away because it's not actually a right. You don't have a right to go give Bibles out. Right.
Yes.
We just wanted the same treatment. That is not persecution. Right.
Right.
So when somebody gets the same privilege as somebody else, that's not persecution.
Well, okay, right, sure.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I know what you're saying, but like, is that satanic group just trolling the Christians? 100%, right? Is the statue,
Are they wrong?
Is the statue? No, they're not.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong, but that doesn't mean Christians aren't being targeted. 100%.
Well, sure, they're being
100%.
targeted, but they're being targeted for the privileges that they have,
100%.
not rights that they have.
Yeah,
right.
How
is this persecution?
What I'm saying is they're definitely like the statue at the state building. 100%. That was done to troll Christians, right?
Well,
be like,
but it was because of privilege, right?
We're going to put this in, and you've
got 10 commandments.
And we know you're going to hate it, so we're going to do it, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Of course, that's why they did it. We all know this.
Yes. Right.
It's the whole thing.
But explain to me how that's persecution. That's the part that I want.
Did you read the article about the New York Times editor who was basically like, we've lost credibility? And
it was NPR editor.
Sorry, NPR.
NPR.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I did read it. Yeah.
You did? Yeah, you did?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. And he's been suspended now.
No, he resigned. So he left. He quit.
Right. And then he and he was basically saying, like, he's saying all the things we know that's happening that NPR denies completely. And we're all like, yes, exactly. And you're like, he's like, yeah, we did this and we did this and we did this. And there's not a single Republican here. We're all Democrats. And and we're all like, yeah, we knew this. But every time we brought it up, everyone's like, no, it's not. That doesn't exist. And we're like, yes, it does. And like, this is the thing. This is what I see all the time. We're like, oh, no, you're not like, and that's what I'm giving you the example right now. What you're saying is like, see, no persecution. You're like, well, this satanic group is basically like, we both know they're just trolling the Christians, right?
They're like, but they're not wrong doing it.
No, they're not. You are correct.
Right. So whether it's trolling or not, they've got a valid point.
Well, they have a valid point. Their intent is to just go like not allow Christians to do the thing they were doing. That's what they're trying to do. Right.
And how is that wrong if Christians are doing something that they shouldn't be doing?
Shouldn't. That's a matter of it's not shouldn't. It's a matter of like
it is a shouldn't, right?
What?
It is a shouldn't because we have it's the First Amendment, right? The First Amendment says we shall have no separation, no established religion, right? No establishment of religion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Our government cannot come out in favor of any specific religion. That is the First Amendment.
Yes.
Right.
And so like if they favor one, the other, or if they allow one to do something, everyone else gets to do it.
Bingo.
100%. Yes.
So we're on the same page. The Satanists are just saying, stop being privileged.
Well, right. Ryan, they're doing it to stop the Christians from doing it, right? That's why they're doing it. Yes. That's
100%. Well, yes. I mean, the fun part about the Satanic Temple, sure, but it's because the Christians have the privilege, right? It's not that Christians have rights to do this. Right. They've got privileges to do this. And the Satanists are saying, see, we want the same privileges.
And I'm like, we all know what's going on here. We all know what's really going on here. I'm like, can we just cut the bull crap and be like, this is like the NPR story where the guy's like, yeah, we did all the things that you thought we were doing. We did it. And you're like, yes, and we knew it, and everyone knew it. But we all had
this persecution, Tom? How is that persecution?
No, it's targeting, is what it is. But like, that's what I'm saying. And so, like, what I'm saying is, we don't know what persecution is. Like,
persecution is like people dying, right? Like,
Oh, well,
imprisonment. Yeah, a
Nazi prison, like,
Holocaust.
oh,
Right.
yeah, you're gonna wear
That's true
this on this
persecution.
side, and then you're not gonna be able to have property, and you're not gonna be able to have this, right? And like, what I'm saying is that's all coming. Like, that's my prediction. That's all coming. It's in the pipe.
To Christians?
Yes, 100%.
Eh.
Yes.
I would be surprised because if you
Mark
think
my words. April 24th, 2024. Tommy said it.
Tommy
We'll wait
said that
5 years.
Christians are going to end up in concentration camps with atheists marching around with guns on the outside.
I don't know if it'll look like
I'll
that,
take
but
that bet, Tom. I'll take
yeah.
that bet any day of the week.
Okay. Good. We'll
Because
revisit this
there's
in
not persecution happening at this point.
2029 and
Okay, 2029, we're gonna come back.
see if the tide if we're seeing shifting in the tides, which I think we will.
I mean, my forthcoming book is suggesting that the tides are going to continue to shift, right? The single fastest group, quote unquote, religious group in the US, growth wise, is actually those with no religious affiliation. And my next book projects that it's going to continue, right? There's no reason to think that it's not going to continue. But they're not persecuting Christians. That's the point that I'm trying to get at. They're basically saying, hey, Christians, you've had privilege for a very long time, and now you don't get to have those privileges anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's not persecution.
Yeah. I'm agreed. And I'm like, well, say whatever you want. We'll see. I'll see you in 5 years.
Okay. In 5 years, if they're rounding up Christians, I will
didn't
totally
say they're
concede.
rounding up, but I think you'll be able to see, you'll be like, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is
Well,
happening.
okay. So what do you think is going to happen in 5 years? They're not rounding up Christians. What is going to happen? So I have a clearer sense of like, what are we betting on? I want to put money on this.
Christian nationals will become the de facto scapegoat for issues. They will be identified as dangerous, a threat to democracy, and
well, that's already happening. All of that's already happening.
Oh, right. Well, I'm just saying this will be when I say de facto, like this will be like it'll be more pronounced in government declarations and policies, and that we'll see, and then we might see actual legislation that is directed toward these things. You'll see a requirement for identification of your declaration of your religion, and like if you're affiliated or associated with groups that are religious. Yeah, well, 100%. We'll see all that stuff.
In 5 years.
Yes.
Oh man, I am so gonna take that bet. What are
April
we putting 24th.
On this? Mark
what
my
are we putting
words.
on this, Tom? I want money on this. There will be no way that we're registering people as religious in 5 years. That is not going to happen. I'd easily put $1,000 down on this. Like this is not going to happen in 5 years. No way. No way, no how. And I'm already conceding, right? On the left, I happen to know some of the authors who coined the term white Christian nationalist, who have written about this extensively. They're friends of mine. I would say that they've already started to depict white Christian nationalists, right, as a threat to democracy, and certainly as harmful to the United States, and arguably scapegoats that are the cause of a number of problems. That's already happening. I'm certainly conceding that.
Yes.
Is anybody saying we should round them up or tag them or make them register? That's not even close to being on the radar. But if it is in 5 years, Tom, what do you want? I'll treat you to a really nice dinner. You pick the restaurant. We're in.
Okay.
Dinner. If it's not happening in 5 years, we're shaking.
On it.
If it's not happening in 5 years, I get dinner.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I would be astonished, but so be it. Anything else you wanted to add on that? I don't know. We ended up going a lot longer than I thought we were going to go.
Yeah. No, I'm good. That was
all right.
Beat it to death tonight.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon. Take care.
Peace.
Tom, look, we don't always agree when it comes to politics, but if there's one thing that we do agree on, it's that there's only one way to clean up after going to the bathroom, and that's with a Lux bidet.
Listen, I've been using bidets forever, all right? And Lux is the best, all right? So, I mean, I've got like the little squatty potty thing and the bidet. It's like a whole experience. It's actually, it's probably one of the highlights of the entire day. But like, it gets me clean and it gets me ready to talk politics in a civilized manner.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Every time that I use a toilet, it doesn't have a bidet. When I go to a friend's house, I just don't use their toilet, first of all. But that's about as uncivilized as it gets. So civil conversations demand civil hygiene practices.
That's why everyone should get a bidet.
And just to be clear, right, we want to make it clear, listeners can get their own Lux Bidet with 10% off by ordering at luxbidet.com and using our promo code FCBG10, Finding Common Battlegrounds 10. And the last thing that we want to say, Lux is supporting this podcast, but they don't support one side or the other. They support civil conversations and clean butts.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Finding Common Battlegrounds. The music is by Ben Sound. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and not those of their employers. For more information or more episodes, you can find us at findingcommonbattlegrounds.com.